When released as youngsters, some were wired for sound with radio collars and satellite transmitters.
Some of the swans in the earlier years were affixed with radio transmitters, and so that's how we found their locations. And trumpeter swans, being a large white bird, really stand out quite well. And so that made the aerial tracking for those birds very easy. The second thing that we use the aircraft for is for essentially for rounding up the birds and also being a spotting device for those folks on the ground. And it's amazing how well a trumpeter swan can hide.
Most of the swans, however, were outfitted with less high-tech gear.
The collar is essentially the ID marker for that specific bird. It gives, name, rank, and serial numbers. If it's T00, and the number sequence will correspond to the location on where that bird was from. And then hopefully somebody down the line will see where that bird goes. It's a lot cheaper than satellite telemetry.
Those collars and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife leg bands were the key to a wealth of data, not only about a single bird as an individual, but also to the project as a whole. They were important parts of monitoring migration, mortality, and nesting success. It was very important that each year's new cygnets get them. Throughout the summer months, aerial and ground surveys were conducted to locate families and count cygnets.
They're good parents in that they watch over their cygnets very, very carefully. When the cygnets are first hatched, it's very hard for us to even count them on our aerial surveys because the parents stay side by side with the cygnets right in between them. And then as the cygnets get bigger, the parents tend to stay close. If they're going somewhere, it's usually one parent in front, cygnets lined up, and the other parent behind, keeping close watch over them. And the parents that do that really well keep their cygnets alive.
And when the time was right, biologists would organize a roundup.
We've really honed in on a technique for Swan Roundup, and where we have a pilot overhead locating the bird, keeping track of all the people in the canoes on foot that are out there to surround a swan. And we really have become really good at catching young swans, cygnets from a family right before they fledge, and marking them all.
During a roundup, coordinating the aerial and water dance that takes place between the spotter planes above and the canoes and kayaks on the lake below takes skills worthy of a Broadway choreographer.
I'm going to have the guys keep beating the brush right towards them. I want you to move ahead across that little cove there to the other side of that cove. I've lost sight of the bird again, but these guys are right on top of it here somewhere.
Okay. Are we just going to let them push the bird out till we have a visual again?
I'm kind of hoping here. I don't know where this thing went.
I'm the power in the canoe, the guy in the back that's kind of steering it and paddling, and just go after him, I guess. There's no real set method, I guess. You kind of pick out a bird and go after it. I mean, the airplane's watching you do it from above, so kind of telling you where it's going, and that. A lot of times you can see them and go after them, but sometimes they're tougher to catch than others, that's for sure.
Swans aren't like other birds that you catch, like other waterfowl. Like we also ban geese at different times, and geese always are fighting you, and they're always biting and everything, and they're always fighting to get away. And a swan, the minute they're in the net or the minute you get a hold of them, they just relax. They don't bite, they don't make any noise.
Catch 'em, count 'em, and collar 'em. Those are the main steps in the Roundup square dance. In addition, birds are given extensive health checks, in part to look for excessive amounts of lead in their system.
Trumpeter swans tip over and just burrow down into the muck, which allows them to find seeds that are down in the muck, but it also allows them to find lead pellets.
Swans often forage for food in the shallow waters of marshes and lakes. Lead shot from spent shells and lead sinkers lost by anglers fall to the bottom and over time get buried in the mud. Lead is extremely toxic and stays in the environment for a very long time.
Lead poisoning is a real issue. It's not only very expensive from our standpoint, even the pharmacy cost alone for bringing a bird back from one episode of lead poisoning runs us about $1,000. So it's a very expensive proposition and very labor intensive. We have to handle the bird several times a day to give it chelating injections. The same treatment that humans get for lead poisoning. We were hoping for total success and that the birds were going to be fine on their own. And the reality is, of course, is that there's many more things out there that create hazards for them.
Getting shot is one of those hazards. Although it's illegal to hunt them, hunters still mistake swans for snow geese, and accidents do happen.
When you look at them with an 80-inch wingspan, I don't know how people can mistake them for a snow goose, but that's the story we get. A snow goose has a wingspan of about 2 feet, and trumpeter swan is, of course, much, much larger. It seems to be a case of mistaken identity, or maybe just excitement in shooting something that's flying over you, an inexperienced hunter, perhaps.
Power lines, especially those that cross wetland areas, are yet another environmental hazard.
This area seems to be an area that is very attractive to many different types of birds, particularly the waterfowls, because of the amount of water in the reservoirs in the area. And we have certainly in the past had birds fly into our lines, but not to the magnitude as they've done in this area here.
To make power lines more visible to the birds, the power companies are installing these little whirligigs in some areas. Nicknamed fireflies, they blink throughout the night.
Well, I would hope that the devices that we're putting up will make the lines more visible and basically eliminate killing any of the bird population out here.
Despite all these threats to their survival, the trumpeter swan has made what can only be described as a remarkable comeback. From just one active nest in 1989 to 44 in 2000, double what had been hoped for, the trumpeter swan population in the state of Wisconsin continues to soar. Equally remarkable and impressive are the partnerships that were formed and made it all happen.
Lots of institutions in Wisconsin that stepped forward and were willing to donate their time and effort to making this a success. The partnerships that developed in the Trumpeter Swan program were almost a model example of how any one institution would have not succeeded, whereas the collaboration of many institutions made all the difference in the world.
Hundreds of people donated time just piecing this thing together, and the public in donating to the Endangered Resources Fund also helped. And therefore everybody had ownership in it. It was their program. It was either a big piece or a little piece, but everybody can look back and say, we helped.
Because of their hard work and commitment to bringing back this magnificent bird, Wisconsin citizens will once again be able to see and hear trumpeters for generations to come.
It's been a wonderful experience. Trumpeters are so very different from any of the birds that we've worked with previously.
They're a bird that mates for life. They have their nest every year within just a few feet of where they've had it the year before.
The things that touch me most are the families, the cygnets hatching out and watching them grow over the summer, and then that first flights, and that's just such a thrill.
I think some of the most memorable things for me, Mary, are when I for the first time saw one of the restored trumpeter swans take off from the marsh and disappear over the horizon line. That really struck home the fact that we really had succeeded in bringing these birds back.
It's just nice to have the things that were here long ago come back. We're happy to have been part of that successful project.
It's been a great experience. Wonderful for both of us. Wonderful for the state of Wisconsin, too.